Hey you guys, this is James here at Unique Perspectives. Thought I'd make another video about something that I see sort of trending to some extent on YouTube. You know, just really addressing the passport bros, which just represents a lot of black men, maybe in the Western world, or maybe more specifically in the United States, that are traveling outside of the country to find a wife and find a partner and just have a completely different experience when it comes to dating and potential marriage as well. So I want to talk about that, just give my thoughts about it, because I've been watching a lot of videos with a lot of guys talking about this, a lot of men and even women, black women have given their thoughts as well. So I just want to talk about that, just give my perspective. I do want to encourage you to like and subscribe. I am absolutely loving the comments that are coming in with a lot of my videos. And again, a lot of you are hitting me up on like Instagram or Facebook as well. And I appreciate the connection that you guys are, establishing with me just about different topics that I'm addressing. So it's really nice just to not only have people listening to a video, but also connecting with me, because I appreciate the relationship aspect. But yeah, James here, we're going to get into the topic, and we're going to get right into it. Here we go. Okay, so let's see, where do I start with this topic? My goodness. So yeah, I was watching some videos from one of the brothers, on YouTube, and he's doing pretty well for himself in regards to his subscriber count and things like that. Really cool, really laid back guy. And although I don't agree with everything that he is sharing, I still think that he has some really good points when it comes to this topic. And like I said, the idea is that there are specifically black men in the Western world, or specifically the United States, that are getting their passports and going to different parts of the world to find a partner. Be the Philippines, maybe somewhere in Latin America, maybe other countries, South America, just other places. And there have been a lot of guys that have gone on YouTube in their own channels or maybe during interviews talking about their experiences overseas. And it seems like there are a lot of more positive, experiences a lot of them are having. I was watching a video earlier, and I don't know, maybe I'll put the description and the link in this video, maybe not, I'm not sure. But there was two gentlemen talking about just one of the gentlemen's experiences in Colombia. And he even went as far as to show a picture of the lady that he actually was dealing with primarily. And I have to say, the woman was incredibly attractive. Beautiful long hair, very slim, not too slim, but a very attractive lady. And she was very feminine. You can see clearly a woman that embraces her feminine energy. And I just thought, wow, that to have access to a lovely lady like that, that must be, it really takes a lot of sacrifice, especially financially. And he admitted that, I guess maybe with US dollars, while he was spending time with her, he spent a total of maybe $20 one day with her. That covered buying her 3 dresses. I think they were like $3 or $4 that are equivalent to $3 in United States dollars, purse as well, and it was all under like $20. And she was incredibly thankful and grateful. And for a guy in our Western society, hearing something like that, it makes you think, wow, that's incredible. Not having to pay so much money for accommodating somebody that you're trying to connect with and getting to know and things like that. Now, what I didn't like about the video is the guy that was being interviewed, this gentleman who showed the picture of the lovely lady he was dealing with. He admitted that his intention was not necessarily to get married, but to just enjoy having access to beautiful women that will give him a chance. And he had no intention, at least from my impressions of the video, to actually get married. And that actually poses another issue with some men. I'm not going to say all, and I'm going to get more deeper into this at the very end of the video. But yeah, he really admitted that, his intention was not to settle down. He's just having fun. But he has expressed that he has had a lot of frequent experiences with very attractive ladies, and just as attractive as the lady he showed us, it's not as difficult to find somebody that's willing to deal with him. And so that's something I would not agree with. As a Christian man, I'm all for going overseas and all that stuff, but yeah, not to objectify or use somebody as like some type of toy or object. It's not okay to do it in the Western world, and it's not okay to do it anywhere else. I will get a little bit more into that in the very last part of this video, but I do want to just kind of run down some areas here. So the whole passport bros concept is men getting their passports, of course, going overseas, finding women that they feel that are much more feminine, I'm going to say, than the Western world. And there are still, of course, women that are feminine, that embrace their femininity here in the West, and I'm in the United States, I'm in California. And yeah, but the idea amongst these different men that, think this way or lean towards this concept is, the idea is to, find more, have access to more women that are feminine, that are fit, and that are friendly. And I think I made a video about that some months ago. So, check that video out if you like. There is I'm going to say some differences, when it comes to our Western world. Obviously, ladies have a lot of rights rights here and a lot of success as well. And so in some ways, not in every way, but in some ways that has sort of interfered with men. I'm going to say just your average Joe who's making maybe $40,000 a year to actually find someone that is willing to love him and be with him when he's not making like a boatload of money. And so I think there are a lot of guys that really feel like, if they can't have access to an attractive, feminine, fit, friendly, and hopefully somebody who loves God as well, for us Christian men here in the United States, will then just simply travel across the seas and just go there and find her over there. So that's what it is. It's really just basically putting yourself in another position to, try to find what it is that you want. So that's what it is. So the next part I want to address is really just why specifically are black men doing this. So this is just my impressions. I can't speak for every black man. I'm obviously a conservative Christian. I have different values than maybe the typical guy that is going for this whole passport brother community and stuff like that, but I still want to share. And so the why, to my understanding, is to really have access to women that will be submissive. Obviously, we know, like, for example, the Asian countries like Philippines and other countries in Asia, a lot of the women, not all, but a lot of the women understand like a submissive nature towards being with their man, and so for a lot of guys, I'm not going to say just black men, but a lot of men, period, it doesn't matter where they're from, Pakistan or the United States or wherever, we all appreciate a woman that understands that she's not a man, she's a woman, and to embrace female attributes and female traits. So I can understand a man wanting to have access to that. And so yeah, if you have to sacrifice and move and travel to another country to have access to that, then I sort of get it. I get it. If a man wants to position himself in a better position, or at least put himself in a place where he can have access to what it is that he wants or whom he wants, then yes, I see, like, why not? Yeah, I mean, I've touched on this already, but the idea is that Western women supposedly, and I'm not going to say all because I know a lot of ladies that are very nice, very sweet, and yeah, there's, a lot of philosophies that have interfered with, I'm going to say, a lot of femininity with our modern ladies in the Western world. When I say Western world, I'm talking about Europe, maybe Canada, and as well as the United States, but just places where femininity is sort of being challenged and overpowered by the feminist movement. So there are a lot of ladies that are being indoctrinated, not all, but there are some ladies that are being indoctrinated by these philosophies that they really don't need a man or to be independent or to challenge men, and they can eat and be overweight, and a guy better take them as they are. And that sort of attitude is what is going to hinder any woman, even if she's a black woman, but any woman, from locating someone that's going to take her seriously and actually want to be with her. And so I can't say that I think it's a bad thing for any man, black man, to travel to another country if he wants to position himself to find someone that fits that interest. And the men that I support are the men that are actually traveling to actually be with somebody and take their relationship seriously, that actually want to get married, and so there are a lot of men within this community of passport bros that are actually married to, a Filipino, that are actually married to a woman in Colombia, married to, somebody in different parts of the world and overseas, and they're enjoying their relationship. They are having fun. They are actually documenting their relationship on YouTube, and they're actually showing a lot of us, like, we can have access to this, and I will admit, it's really nice to watch maybe a man that is working online and he's making money and he has this gigantic house in the Philippines, and his beautiful Filipino wife is coming in and making food for him and preparing food for him, looking nice, and when they go out, she looks gorgeous, and it's almost like, wow, to look and see like a man can just simply jump from one country to another and actually have access to what it is that most of us guys would like. So not only black men, but there's a lot of us that would love to have a friendly, fit, feminine woman. And it's just something that I understand. I understand the appeal. And it's something that I think that there are a lot of guys, it's not only just black men, but there are a lot of men that I know that have already made that decision, and they've already moved to another country. Or, I know one brother in Christ, white guy, and I think he was kind of chatting with the lady in the Philippines, maybe in his late 40s. And, he talked to her very directly, and she actually, later on, I talked to her as well about that whole transition from her country in the Philippines to the United States. And she mentioned that she was doing perfectly fine financially in her country. She would have been perfectly fine. And the guy that, she was taking interest in out here, and I sort of connected with her before I connected with him. I was at a church event and I was talking to her, but she admitted that he shared with her that he was not rich. He did not have a lot of savings, and they would potentially struggle, but he is a Christian. He does love her. He is willing to serve her. And so she made that sacrifice and came to this country. I mean, long story short, he's in his 50s. He's just had his first set of children. I think he's like 51 or 52. Brother in Christ, and he has these two beautiful daughters with this lovely wife. They made it work. And so I think sometimes there's these arguments that there are some guys that go overseas just to abuse women or just to have sex with women. And, and so there are men that do that. And I want to kind of talk about that as well. But there are also men that actually are looking for a real relationship, that actually want to settle down and be with somebody and only one person. And sometimes there are men, even white guys, like my buddy, that it's not always easy to find someone in this country. So sometimes it's a little bit different of a challenge, or less of a challenge, to find someone that shares those same values, and they're not going to have unrealistic expectations when it comes to a relationship. So I think, if anything, that's the aspect that actually is appealing to me as well. But eventually I want to get into my perspective on this whole thing in regards to what I do it. But one of the decisions for a lot of black men to actually travel to another country, date somebody over there, or even just live over there, is that, of course, obviously the United States dollar travels a lot further. I shared early in this video that I seen one guy talking about he spent all of $20 on his date to accommodate his Colombian gorgeous girlfriend, and she was incredibly grateful. To me, like, as somebody that I'm not making boatloads of money, I'm like the average American making regular amount of money, it's nice to know that I could actually potentially do enough that would actually be appealing and attractive to a woman to see just my efforts, and to actually be able to, do something that actually would accommodate her, rather than flying her to Hawaii and stuff like that. There are a lot of women, and I'm going to say I know a lot of black women in our community, that they have this standard where if you're not traveling, then you're not successful. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying traveling is bad. I'm not that much of a traveler. I don't care for it. I'll get into that a little bit later in the video, but I do see the appeal with travel. I do think that God has created a lovely world here. Why not explore it? I'm not against traveling. However, I'm just saying that there are some people that have this distorted understanding that if you're not traveling regularly, then you're not successful. And I think that's kind of a false understanding of success. I think that, because I know plenty of people that are more depressed than they've ever been, and they've gone to Hawaii, they've gone to all these different countries, and it hasn't made a difference in their life. I guess the last aspect I really want to address is, would I personally travel for companionship? Would I do it? And the answer is yes, I am open to it. In fact, I'm thinking within the next 24 months, as I pay off, some of my debts and things like, and have less obstacles financially, I am thinking that if I don't feel like I'm moving forward with any particular romantic relationships or relationship endeavors, I will just collect my passport as well. In fact, I might do it within the next 6 months, and I may just do it myself and eventually just prepare myself, maybe first or second time, go through a travel agency and just explore the dynamic of, different types of women from different countries. I'm a single guy. I don't have any children, so I have the liberty to do that. I'm open to it. I'm definitely open to it. Now, do I think that a woman in the Philippines or the woman in Mexico is automatically better than a woman, directly in the United States, and they're in one of the 50 states? No, I don't. I don't think that's how it works. I think that we should be judging every woman just like we should be judging every man based on the contents of their character. Just because somebody is born in a certain country shouldn't automatically make them more attractive in regards to their personality. Now, I will say, again, there are some cultures that are more submissive to men than, I'm going to say, obviously, our Western world. Our Western world is sort of instructing and teaching women to, fight for their rights, to always be heard and stuff like that, which I have no issue with. However, there are a lot of ladies that take it to a very destructive, toxic, almost masculine approach that really makes them unattractive. Even if they're physically attractive, nobody wants to deal with them because maybe they are making a lot of money and they're carrying themselves like they're a man now. I personally, I would not have an issue dating and even marrying a woman that makes more money. However, I do have a problem with a woman that's challenging me, maybe as if she's carrying this masculine energy. And yes, that would ruin our relationship. That would just ruin everything. And so it's very difficult sometimes, not for every woman, but it's very difficult for a lot of women, especially in our community, in my experience, that after they sometimes take the lead financially, even if it's just for a season, sometimes they can kind of keep it over a guy's head, and that just makes them unattractive, especially if it comes to having an argument and things like that. Last thing you want as a man is to be disrespected and a woman say, well, hey, you're not making that much money, or I'm paying the mortgage, or I'm doing, that's the last thing you want to hear, And I'm not saying, I'm talking about men that maybe be in the process of desiring and wanting to make that change. to be able to step up. But you know, it's just very unattractive for any woman, regardless of their culture, to hold that over a guy's head. And it just seems like there are a lot of women overseas that, from what I'm seeing, just from, you know, my point of view, and I haven't traveled to these countries, not yet, but I do see a lot of very attractive traits, like this femininity that just seems to be incredibly appealing, that you almost want to explore and see, man, you know, what is my chances of, you know, this, you know, overseas, if I go overseas and find and locate, you know, someone with a different energy, you know, what are my chances of finding someone that I actually really truly want? I will say that I find it very fascinating that I go into many channels on YouTube in which there are maybe overweight older white guys, and they are just walking down the street with some type of, you know, little 20 or 30-year-old woman in the Philippines, and they're just walking, or Taiwan, or all these different places, Thailand. And it's just so fascinating how there are a lot of these women that some are all for the money. You know, obviously they're like, hey, this guy has money, so I'm gonna take advantage. But there are some women that are not interested in taking advantage. They just want to be with somebody that's gonna take them seriously. And when you have, I don't know, a guy that, I don't know, he can be of any culture. When you have a guy in our country and he's trying to apply himself towards the women that he's interested in, and he's considered a joke because maybe he's not making a certain amount of money, or he doesn't have a certain amount of looks, or he's a certain height, versus another country where they're not interested in those things, they're interested in who you are. Yes, it is appealing. It is something that a lot of us guys, including myself, I am willing to get the passport and jump ship. I am willing to do that, you know, if I felt that, you know, my chances would be better. But no, as far as do I think women are just better automatically because of their location? No, I don't necessarily think so. One of the things I also wanted to mention is there are a lot of women, especially in the black community, that they don't have the same marital rate as a lot of other cultures here in the United States. And that's because some of our black women, not all, but there are some black women that really just have a lot of these attributes that make them unattractive. And so one of the challenges, for example, I'm going to say just within the black community, is our black women. I believe the average black woman in the United States weighs about 187, and they would have to lose 20 pounds just to be in a place where, you know, it would be, you know, where they should be in regards to their weight. There are a lot of us guys, black men, that obviously we want someone smaller. You know, one of the number one places to, you know, seek a lady, you know, automatically a lot of us would think is, you know, an Asian country. And I don't know if you guys know this, but, you know, from a statistical standpoint, female that gets the most attention from different cultures, it's the Asian woman. I think more East Asian, but it's always an Asian woman. And I think it has a lot to do with not only the size, but just the culture and things like that. But there are a lot of men, you know, including myself, that we do find Asian women attractive. You know, not all, but a lot of us, we find Asian women attractive. And I think it's also a part of the stereotype of them being submissive as well. I think that's a very attractive trait. It's something that I think a lot of us, we discuss within the black community of just the, even when it comes to marital rates. I believe for the black woman, there is, I'm trying to remember, Kevin Samuels used to always bring this up, like 1 out of 4 black women are actually going to get married, you know, which that's actually bad. That's actually a bad statistic, you know. And then of course we know that not every woman or black woman that gets married is going to stay married. You know, I think there's just already, you know, the rate of just women in the United States or the Western world alone initiate divorce at a high rate. Then divorce, I'm going to say, we already know that from a statistical standpoint, there are women just in the United States that initiate divorce at a much higher rate than men do. I believe it's between 70 and 80, and if they're college educated, it's 90% will initiate. You have to keep that in mind, that there are a lot of us that we're looking at the marital rate, we're looking at the weight, we're looking at the type of attitude that we think is not going to be conducive to a relationship. So it's almost better and almost wiser and almost more strategic to get the passport, you know, put money aside for travel and just do it that way, you know, and then potentially bring your lady back or just stay in another country, you know. And there are a lot of YouTubers that I keep up with, black men, that they are overseas and they're just staying with their partners and their money's going a lot further. And so it's very interesting just to see. But again, I just want to remind all of you that as far as my perspective, I do not believe that just because somebody is born in a certain country or a certain place, they're automatically marriage material. We do know that there are obviously scammers, ladies in Asia or in Russia or even the United States. There are people that are always going to try to victimize men financially, scam guys, take what they can, divorce them, and to take half of what they want. So that's also something that men have to look out for. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. I'm probably going to address this in the future. I kind of feel like I was just all over the place with this topic, but there's a lot more to unpack. But yeah, hope this was helpful. God bless you guys. Take care. Peace. And yeah, please like and subscribe. And yeah, if you guys want to have a dialogue, please hit me up and I would love to hear what you have to say. All right, take care and God bless you.